Words, a letter on a string. Behold, na words. Regard it as a complicated tool. Everybody, every day, everywhere, and every way. Oh, write them, you can use them. Say them, you can hear them. Write them, you can read them. Love them, feed them. Do 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 do.
Hello beautiful honeys, and welcome back to my service space. The prodigal daughter is back. If you're seeing this space for the very first time, or just in case you forgot my name, I'm Inati Asavela Mbulawa, aka Miss Savvy the Rich Aunt. So today I decided to just tell you what's on my mind. That's it. I'm hoping it's not going to be a long video, but before I do, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please do like, comment and share, and if you want to join the VIP section, there's a bell next to the subscribe word. Just click on it and then you will be the first person to know when I upload a video. You see, smart move, ne? So I hope you're gonna enjoy this video. God bless you and take care. So what's on my mind? So 3 weeks back, I was just chilling and then a verse crossed my mind, which is found in John 1 verse 1. Which in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So immediately when I thought of that verse, I took my Bible and I just went through the verses, and I stopped to verse 4, where it says that in him was life, and the life was the light of men. So after reading that verse, the one word that actually grabbed my attention was the word word. And immediately my mind rushed to Genesis 1 verse 1, where it all began. But before we go to Genesis, I just want us to read. I don't want to paraphrase or John 1 verse 1. I just want to read all of it. So I'm going to read from verses 1 to verses 4 of John 1. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. So after reading that verse, my mind actually rushed to the beginning where it all started. Genesis 1 verse 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness moved upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. So a question just came to mind. Who is this God who created something out of nothing? Who is this God who has life in him, and that life and that word, when it is spoken, becomes light for man? And I ask myself, who is this God? When he speaks, things happen. I mean, Genesis describes this earth was formless, it was shapeless, it was empty, and then God spoke and everything came into existence. And then Ellen G. White says in one of her books, as the earth came from the hands of its maker, it was exceedingly beautiful. So I had to ask myself, well, who is this God? When he speaks, he creates something so beautiful. If Ellen G. White says it's exceedingly beautiful, who is this God who has life in him? When he speaks, things happen. Who is this God? When he speaks, he brings light and life unto men. So and as I went through my Bible and I reminded myself, this God is love. This God is a loving God. This God is a faithful God. This God is a merciful, gracious, long-suffering, patient, and kind God. So it actually made sense to me, this God, if he is this good, if he is this loving, if he is this patient, if he is this compassionate, it only makes sense for him when he speaks. His words create beautiful things, that when he speaks, his words give life to something that was formless, which was void, which was empty, which was dead, that this voice becomes light. His words become light of men. So in that moment, I got to appreciate the beauty of words. I got to understand that, you know what, words are so powerful, and how unfortunate for us as human beings that we tend to forget and we tend to take words for granted. Words are powerful. Words can be a blessing in someone's life, or they can be a curse. Words can break or make someone. Words are seeds which are sown to the recipient, and eventually they will bear fruit, whether it is good or bad. It all depends on how we use our words. It then took me back in my childhood days, where I grew up being told ukuthi I was not beautiful. I was teased because I was just too dark-skinned. And back in the days when you had too much melanin, it was always associated with being ugly. So because I used to hear those words, I believed them, I embraced them, and I lived my life as one who believed ukuthi she was ugly. I allowed people's opinions about myself to define me, and that had played a huge role when it came to my self-esteem. I had low self-esteem, no self-confidence at all, and how I viewed life was totally different. I kind of like limited myself when it came to dreaming. I was like, there are certain areas that I, as an ugly person, cannot really tap into. I do not have a seat at the table where I would have loved to be part of. But then I had a turning point. Fortunately for me, I had a turning point. Fortunately for me, there was light at the end of the tunnel. Now I am not that girl who believes that she's ugly. Now I am Miss Savvy, the rich aunt. But unfortunately for us, not all children who get to go through that same experience get to reach the end of the tunnel. So it is very important, especially as parents, as adults, that we guard our mouths. Our mouths, our tongues, our voices are blessings from God. So we really need to ask God to teach us how to use them, especially to the little ones. So what you say to them matters. You know, I remember growing up how we when we got into trouble, even though I really never got into trouble, but you know, with kids, somehow they are aware ukuthi words are so powerful, because if you'd really ask them at a certain age, which one do you prefer, being scolded at, is it scolded, most cases kids would be like, I'd rather get a beating, because you know, when you hit me, I kukile mature, and they easily forget when you actually gave them a hiding. But the words that you say to them, they actually stick, because you find that if uyamnxolisa umntana and stuff, and then in the evening and you want to play with the child, in most cases the child would be like, she'll be mad at you. So I think in their minds, even though they don't have a full understanding of the power of words, but they do have an understanding. They've got a small anyana understanding. You know what, words can be painful. So it's also important for us, especially when we're angry, that we ask God to help us, asfage e-filter. I remember, I think it was 2 weeks back, when someone said something to me and I was so angry. I was so angry, and I was so ready to give that person and tell her, Uguti, you know what. But then at that moment, as I was rehearsing, as the words were coming in my head, I was like, Sana zibomb sodwa. I immediately prayed to God and I told him to shut this mouth, because what's going to come out is from canal and it's going to hurt so bad. And unfortunate part about it is that words that you say to someone, whether they're good or bad, you can never take them back. Especially hurtful and painful and harsh words, they stick to the recipient like a permanent tattoo. And permanent tattoos, you can never undo them, even though they do surgeries and stuff, but then you can still see by something was there. Because even now, if I can say, think of one thing that someone said to you when you were a child, which was really, really painful, and I'm sure most of you can attest, ukuthi, you still remember it, and every time you think about it, it still hurts, even though it hurts a little now, but it still hurts. So from that day, I got to every time when I am angry, I always ask God to help me to filter. May whatever comes out of my mouth be a blessing to someone's life. May whatever comes out of my mouth, whether I am correcting someone, whether I'm rebuking someone, or whether or whatever I say, I need to ask myself, what I'm about to say, is it edifying? And also, will it bring light to that person's life? Because for the kids, especially for the little ones, I love kids. I so love kids. I don't have kids, but hey, I know I might not be the right person to give advice to the mothers out there, but that's what one thing I'm going to say to you is that your words are actually seeds to those little children, and you get to determine whether they will bear good fruit or bad fruit. And whatever you say to them, you are actually paving a way to their future. So whatever you say, you get to determine whether they get to the end of the tunnel or they will just be traveling in the tunnel. Not everyone gets to have a turning point in their life. So it's very important that we yes, it's important for us to sift amazwi esithi siwathethe. And also, you know, even when we take an example of Jesus, when he came in this world, his ministry was all about relieving pain. It was all about healing, setting the captives free. And whatever God did, even when he was rebuking and correcting people, his words were accompanied by love. So how he spoke, you can just see love. It was always accompanied with love, with mercy and kindness. I just pray that also from this day forward, that that we might take Christ's example and just spread love, minister love to the people. How I wish that we may also take Christ's example, that before we speak, we may pray to God, especially when we're angry. And also how I pray that we might ask God to teach us to sow good seed to the hearers. So there's a verse that I would love to close with. I think it's Ephesians 4. The verse is 29. So I will read this verse and then I will read a commentary by Ellen G. White. It reads as follows: "And let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good, to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers." And then Ellen G. White comments in one of her letters, which was written in 1895, commenting on this verse. It reads as follows: "We are counseled to let no corrupt communication proceed out of our mouth, but a corrupt communication is not simply something that is vile and vulgar. It is any communication that will eclipse from the mind the view of Christ, that will blot from the soul true sympathy and love. It is a communication in which the love of Christ is not expressed, but rather sentiments of an un-Christ-like character." So as I close, I would love to leave you with a verse from Philippians chapter 4, the verses, I think it's from verse 8 up to verse 9. "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think of these things. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you. Not only should you think of these things, but I pray that you do them, that you say them. So whatever words that you speak, may they be honest, may they be accompanied with just, may they be lovely, may they be of good report. So before you speak, do ask yourself these questions. Is it what I'm about to say edifying? Is it true? And will it bring light to the receiver? So that's it for today. So that's what's on my mind today. It is my prayer that as we journey through this week, that God may bless us, that he may protect us, that he might give us all the strength and wisdom that we need to carry out this week's duties. And it is my prayer that as we interact with people, that God may teach us how to use our words, and that we might ask ourselves before we utter anything, are they edifying? Are they true? Will they bring light to the recipient? And are they accompanied with love? I hope you're going to have a beautiful day, and I pray that God may shelter you and shower you with all the blessings. God bless you. I love you, and take care.